Hello friends, welcome back to CTRL+S. This is a behind-the-scenes look at how I set up and run my high school graphic design program. I've been making these daily episodes to walk through my planning process as I set up the first 2 weeks of school, from figuring out what I'm going to say to what I'm going to teach them, to working out the pacing of all the projects, and even adding soft skills training. But starting with episode 9, we're going to shift to a weekly schedule based on what is actually happening in class once school begins. Today is all about giving students time to keep building on the work that they've already started while slowly introducing a few new ideas to expand how they think about design. So I'm not going to try to rush to cover everything at once. It's still very early in the school year, and the goal is to keep the students moving without overwhelming them. On this day in digital design and illustration, we're going to run through, at the very beginning of class, the pen tool exercise number 2 and 3, which introduces some really helpful pen tool shortcuts, and it'll show them the Pathfinder panel for the first time in the year. Some students will definitely be ready for it, but others will be working their way through exercise number 1, and that's completely fine. I typically assign about a week's deadline for each tutorial, just to give them enough time. A lot of students may not need that much time, but give them as much time as they need, of course. My job at that point will be just to circle the room, make sure that they understand what they're doing, checking their work, answering questions, helping them clean things up in each exercise before moving on to the next one. And then I'll end that period with a preview of what's coming up next, which is a really cool, fun lightsaber design tutorial. And in visual communications, on this day, students are going to be continuing their art history Bauhaus trading card projects. Some will still be finalizing their sketches, but others may have already moved into the computer to build their work in Illustrator. But on this day, I think it's important to focus on making sure that students have refined their concepts and making sure that the type and imagery that they're using work together in a way that reflects the Bauhaus principles. So if at all possible, I would do a short one-on-one check-in with as many students as you can, possibly small group critiques, while the rest of the class continues, working. And then next week, we're all definitely going to move forward into the digital illustration stage. This project typically runs about 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how fast you want that pace to go for this class. And in the advanced and honors graphic design class, at this point, we should have a decision made about what to do for the branding of the shop. So we'll take a classroom vote, and we'll decide on whether to go ahead and keep the branding from last year, the Golden Hawk graphics, or come up with a whole new brand. And so once that decision is made, we'll either keep developing the existing graphics in branding and advertising, or we'll shift gears and I'll divvy up the responsibilities and we'll start building a brand new direction. We will also keep building on those soft skills trainings, and in the coming weeks we'll do some mock consultations and in general just get ready for our client meetings. At this point in the summer, I've already begun looking for clients. I usually use Facebook or other social media groups, and I need to my goal is to set up at least 20 consultations for mid-October, so I can accommodate the number of students that I've got in that class, which I'm not sure what that number is, but I will find out soon enough. So the soft skills focus for this day is going to be handling creative feedback. Today's soft skill focus, though, is not going to be an activity, it's more of a discussion. Students will break up into small groups and I'll have them talk through a couple of different prompts, including what kind of feedback is actually useful when you're working on something, What kind of feedback shuts you down or throws you off? And how do you usually react when someone critiques your work? After a few minutes of small group discussion, we'll come back together as a group and we'll share some key takeaways as a class. Of course, I'll guide the discussion toward a few core points, such as, you don't have to apply every piece of feedback that you get. You do have to know how to process it, though. Remember, the goal is to improve your work, not to protect your ego. So at this point, the first 2 weeks have been planned out. I've built what I think my classes will need to have them run smoothly for the first 2 weeks of school. And it was based on my own personal experience. It's based on the curriculum that I've taken from the past and of course, assistance from ChatGPT to help coordinate and organize my thoughts and my curriculum. But the key is that it is all just a plan. Really, the real test will come when students walk in the door on August 26th. And so that's when I'll start to see who's in the room and what I need to change about my curriculum and my plan. Next time on Control+S, I'll check in with you just before day one begins, and then at the end of that first week, I'll have the very first weekly scheduled video with an update of what I taught, the assignments, the lectures. If I have any examples of student work, I'll share that with you at that time as well. One final note before I leave you today, please, if you are finding value in this video series, I would appreciate it if you would share it with your coworkers, other CTE educators, administration, or anybody who supports the programs that we work so hard to create. Thank you for joining me on Control+S. I'll see you next time. I'm not just a graphic designer and a high school teacher. I am also an author. I wrote a book called The Dragon Codex, Quest for the Relics of Design. This is a great story about 3 young dragons who have to learn graphic design to save the world from creative destruction. It's a book for young adults, and it's a story about family, it's a story about friendships, and a story about finding your place in the world. Pick up a copy today. I know you'll love it.